What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Tyler's Andy deck that he played for the Retro Round 4 Campus Championship. If you don't know, Jasco's putting on a big, large online retro tournament here, July 18th. There'll be a link to sign up down in the description down below, as well as a ban list for that event, and that is a event that is going to be every single Jasco set from the original Rising set all the way up to our current standard set, plus all the DLC that is out and legal, will be available for you to play, not to mention the ban list that I mentioned before. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump into this really awesome all-Andy deck so that you know what you could be playing or could be playing against when it comes to this event. So with that, let's jump into it. Alright, so if you haven't seen one of my deck profiles before, basically what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be telling you more about how the deck wants to work and how it wants to operate. How do you play Andy as opposed to just reading off the cards verbatim? We all can read cards. With this said, this is a retro event that will be played online, so we do have some proxies inside of this deck, but as we said, the online event, there will be no proxies, because, you know, it's online. And those will be up on the screen for you to see. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into this. Oh, let's talk about Andy. Let's talk about Andy. So how does this Andy deck want to play? So the big thing about this Andy deck in particular is it wants to punish my opponent for blocking. I want to get as much value off of blocking as I get from not blocking. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of mentality. And so his enhance says I discard a card from your card pool, and I get to draw a card, and I get extra speed equal to it. So basically, we say that every time that you block, you still keep your progressive because my speed just goes up. And then he has this really awesome defensive ability of response commit. Discard the first card in my opponent's card pool, reduce their attacks damage to 0. And so if they are foolish enough to play an attack as the first card in their card pool, I just discard it from their card pool and don't have to deal with it. Or they decide to play a foundation in front, I will discard the foundation out of their card pool and then say their attack only does 1 damage. They now have to build it up from the ground level. But the main reason we're playing this deck is we just want to play the enhance. Punish my opponent for blocking, either by killing them because they didn't block, or say that I get to draw my entire deck because they did. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. The first attack that we're playing 4 Nucion Meteor style, or Scarlet Meteor, excuse me. This card is insane. This card is one of those cards that you gotta block. It's 5/5 for 5, it's got power for 4, and it lets me refresh a foundation pretty much however I want. Refresh a foundation or an asset by destroying something. One of Tyler's absolute favorite cards. It should be one of your favorite cards, one of the most overstated, goated cards in the game currently. And this is one of those cards that you block so that Andy gets even more value off of it. Next, we're going to talk about the King of Fighters support, Andy's support himself. We're playing 4 Tiger Kick. It says, while my opponent has no cards in their card pool, I draw a card. So if it is the first or second card in that you play, it replaces itself, as well as if it's the second card that you play, you kick a card with Andy, you draw a card, and then you draw another card off of Tiger Kick and give it extra speed plus stun, plus it has reversal, so you can block reversal their card, draw a card off of Andy, draw a card off Tiger Kick. I've got 2 more cards to block with. This card's just all around value. It's pretty good. Up next, we've got 4 Shoryudan. This card has multiple 1, really great keyword, and it adds the top card of my opponent's discard pile to their card pool. So with Andy, I instantly get to draw that card and start my engine. Well, now I mean, he's already drawn 1 and has gotten +1 speed. Maybe I do have to block this, and I just continue to draw and replace every card that I possibly can. We're playing 4 Nutcracker because drawing is super, super good. Add a card from my discard pile into my card pool, draw an additional card. I don't have to have any interaction with my opponent like Shoryudan or Tiger Kick. This is just a draw. As well as it's got some really beefy stats when it comes to the EX and the Breaker as well. Plus, it gets an extra 4 damage. Throwing this thing as like your third attack if they blocked everything means it's 7 low for 8. It's pretty alright. And the last card, the best 4-drop in the game, we're playing 4 Shadow Slicer. There's no reason not to play this card. Later in the game, possibly even early in the game, depending on how lucky/unlucky we are checking, we can just toss these in for 6 high for 6s that if they block, I get even more speed, and I get to draw additional cards, hopefully into more Shadow Slicers and other really awesome stuff. This card's just a terror, and there's no reason we shouldn't be playing it. On to the actions. We're playing 4 Throw It Down. This card's really, really solid if the game plan works. We give our attack extra damage and a little bit of extra speed. If it deals damage, I get to draw an additional card. And so what this says is I'm going to be drawing no matter what. If you block my attack, I'm going to draw off of Andy. If you don't block my attack, I'm going to be drawing off of Throw It Down. So go ahead and block so that all my stuff gets really fast. And the last action we're playing for Let's Cut Loose. Super good just to like find these specific foundations that we need either to block with or to build down. Really solid off of Nutcracker plays. Nutcracker, I'll add in a foundation that I want and then Let's Cut Loose it down. Just really, really solid abilities. Onto our assets, we're playing double Team Fatal Fury. Kind of like Shoryudan, this card just kickstarts our Andy triggers. Form Commit, your opponent takes any card from the discard pile and tosses it into their card pool. Be careful though, there are plenty of cards inside of the game now that clear themselves from the card pool. So be careful, as well as a little bit of a draw engine. You can Form Remove or Form Destroy. As you can see, the proxies, you can read it up on the screen. You draw cards equal to the difference between the number of attacks in your card pool and the number of attacks they have, or number of cards attacks you can see in their card pool. Basically, this is sometimes draw 2, draw 3, depending on what you need. Super, super good card. And the last asset we're playing is one Pink Gi. I think this card is very slept on, especially inside of the retro format, because this card is a way to negate your opponent's character card effect. As well as inside of Andy, it says that I can enhance commit. If the attack's not blocked, I'll draw 2 cards. And if it is blocked, you will draw 1 card. But if it's also blocked, I'm going to be drawing at least 1 as well, because I'll play my next attack, you have a card in your card pool, and then I'll pitch it. On to the foundations. We're going to talk about the aggressive foundations first. We're playing for the human weapon. If my opponent does not have any cards in their card pool, my attack gets +1 damage. These stack depending on how many that I have in my staging area, so it's possible I can get up to +4 damage on every single one of my attacks, as well as extra speed off of Andy. You don't want to have cards in your card pool because of the human weapon, or you do want to have cards in your card pool because of the human weapon, and Andy just keeps kicking them out. We're playing for Static Buildup. This card is just a juicy version of the human weapon. If they don't have any cards in their card pool, I get a speed, and if they have a card in their card pool, I get damage. And so the first thing that I do after they block is I give it a damage off of Static Buildup. I kick their card with Andy for an extra speed and draw 1, and then because they don't have a card in their card pool, I'll give it an extra speed. So it's basically 1 damage, 1 speed, X speed. Just meaning that like this combined with the human weapon, you're taking them for a beating. Flow cards, we've got Double True Identity. This card just means that checking is easy. One of the obvious choices to add back in with Meteor style. Just really closes out games by having these big long strings. We're drawing so many cards because we're Andy. Why not be able to play them all? Up next, we're playing Double Not Over Till You Die. Really good synergy card with Andy. My opponent blocks a card. I will just flip, stack an attack on top, discard their card, and then draw that attack. I'm just gonna keep it going. We're playing for Never a Day Without Training. Once again, if I've got an asset, it says flip free draw, as well as it's discard a card, draw a card. Really good if you've got extra Shadow Slicers in your hand. I'll discard the Shadow Slicer and then draw a fresh one. Maybe it's a foundation. Maybe it's a different attack. The Shadow Slicer is just going to replace itself. On to more flow, we've got one Self-Proclaimed Legend. This is in the same vein as Shoryudan and Team Fatal Fury. It's just enhance, add a card to their card pool so I can kick it with Andy and start drawing, start gaining speed, as well as Sibling Rivalry does the same thing. So if there's no cards in their card pool, let's go ahead and add one in so I can get rid of it. Up next, we've got Double Merciless Master. This is kind of in the same vein as the Kin Foundation, Not Over Till You Die. It's just I can take a momentum and stack it on top of my deck as opposed to from my discard pile. As well as if I absolutely need to make sure that I check a 5, I can pop it right up on top. Up next, flow-wise, we've got Triple Sense of Morals. Really solid with Nutcracker to add in, but it's also super good for building and making sure that I don't get stunned out on my opponent's turn. Up next, defense-wise, we've got Triple Fei-Fei. Hey, blocking is really, really important, especially if I want to nuke one attack with Andy. I got to block all the other ones. We're playing Triple High Seas Adventure, kind of in the same vein as just Andy's response, nuke and attack. This card says that it gains the flash keyword, which means that neither of us can play enhances during it. A lot of the boosts that happen for my opponent's attacks happen during the enhanced step. And so just saying that, hey, you don't have an enhanced step, I don't have an enhanced step either, I don't mind taking this 4 damage Shadow Slicer. You don't get to pick it back up. It seems pretty all right. And so for this last card, we've got a bit of a flow card. I missed it up top. Basically, what Profane Sanctuary says is to get a little bit of extra discard, a little extra self-mill for our Shadow Slicers, as well as one of the best ways to stop Andy is to breaker him. I'm drawing all these additional cards. I want to play him. And so as soon as you breaker me, I can just flip and then keep my turn a-chugging. Your Disruptive Breaker card is not going to stop me. And so there you have it. There's Tyler's Andy deck that he played for this week's Campus Championship Retro Round 4. Like I said at the very tip top, Jasco's hosting this really awesome event. It's $40 to play, and just for entering, you get a box of whatever product you want. It's really, really good. With that said, thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked this deck, make sure you check out all the matches that Andy played in, as well as all the other profiles here, especially the retro ones if you're interested. Join us every Tuesday, 6 o'clock at twitch.tv/TCGUniversity as we go live as we record the Campus Championships. And if you feel like it, if you like the content, please feel free to go out and support us out on patreon.com/TCGUniversity to keep the amazing lights on. We got this brand new studio. I'm trying to make it as nice as we possibly can. Just for $1, get access to our Discord, and I'd love to talk to you about all your awesome Andy ideas. So, from all of us here at TCGU, thank you very much for watching, and stay learned.